4. Hip and core control. Turnout, or the external rotation of the leg starting at the hip joint, is one of the most important aspects of ballet technique. As you can see in these following illustrations of proper turnout from the hip, we have all of the positions, first, second, and fourth, and fifth, and then a side view. As you can see, the rotation starts at the top of the thigh and spirals all the way down and shows in the feet. The next illustration shows the correct turnout in demi-plie versus incorrect. You can see on the image on the left that the dancer's knees are pointing straight over their second toe out to the side as they plie. In the image on the right, which is incorrect, you can see that the girl's knees are pointing forward instead of out over her toes. So she's not using her turnout muscles from her hips to help her here. This next image I want to share because this is showing somebody forcing their turnout from their feet. Yes, the legs are in a 180-degree angle in the feet. However, you can see that her arches have caved in and she's completely rolling forward. So she's not doming at all. And her feet are extremely torqued. So, how do we turn out? What muscles do we use to turn out? We use muscles in our hips and in our inner thighs. So this first diagram shows all of the muscles that dancers use to turn out. So let's start on the right side. We have 6 deep rotators. These are tiny muscles. They lie underneath, deep inside your pelvis. So underneath your gluteus max. These muscles literally make the leg bone turn out. So when we say pinch your bottom, we're engaging these muscles. On the left side, we have the gluteus maximus and the gluteus medius. Both of these muscles technically assist us in holding and maintaining that external rotation, and they are used more as a stabilizer muscle and to push off when you jump. The next image shows the inner thigh muscles that assist the external rotation from the glutes. So we have the adductors at the top and then the sartorius muscle. So these muscles have to come forward and around, spiraling forward as you turn out. Next, we have the muscles of the core. So there are a lot of layers in our core, but I want you to really understand the transverse abdominis here on the left. So this is your deep core. So when you pull your belly button in and up to your spine, you're engaging your transverse abdominis. When you do this correctly, you should feel a wrap sideways and around your lower back that kind of lifts you up, just like you were sitting in a swing with your legs through the loops. So our core muscles are so important, and they work together with our glutes and our inner thighs to help us to turn out. So let's discuss some exercises that you can do at home to strengthen both your glutes, your external rotators, and your core. Most of these exercises are Pilates based. Pilates is a great exercise method that parallels with the alignment principles of ballet. So all these exercises that you'll see are Pilates based and very helpful. So let's begin with some bridges. So to do a bridge, we start on our back. We have our feet flat on the floor. Heels are in line with your hip sockets. Your back is nice and flat on the ground. And then we're going to curl your tailbone under and peel your spine off the floor, starting from your tailbone as you lift your hips up to the ceiling to make a nice bridge. And here we have to squeeze our glutes. We have to pull our belly button in, and we maintain a long line from your knee all the way to your shoulder. And you want to look up to the ceiling. Your arms are just nice and long on the floor. As we roll down, you keep the glutes fired up, squeezing. We roll down through the upper back, middle back, lower back, and then the tailbone touches last. So let's do 10 of these. We're going to articulate through the spine. Here we go. Roll up, 2, 3, 4, good, and down.
Keeping the glutes squeezed as you go up. Pulling the belly button into the spine. Keeping the shoulders pressing away from the ears the entire time. And roll down. This is 4. And up. Also make sure your feet are nice and flat on the floor. We're not crunching the toes. Our toes are not turned out, but they are completely parallel. Your neck stays relaxed. Your tummy is tight. And your feet are flat on the floor, so remember those 3 points that we talked about before. Heel, fifth toe, and first toe. Equal weight into those 3 points. Let's do 4 more. Keep the glutes tight. Squeeze right where your leotard and tights hits is where you squeeze. Keep it squeezed even as you roll down. 3 more. Keep your breathing. And down. We're articulating up and down through each vertebrae of the spine. Good. Roll it down. Last time. Roll it up. 2, 3. We're going to stay here. Squeeze your glutes. Reach your fingertips longer. Shoulders are back and down. Feel that burn right under your popo. Those are our glutes. And we roll down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And good. Grab your knees and hug them into your chest. Good job. Our next glute exercise is more for functional stability. So we are going to start on our hands and knees. So just follow along. When we line up on our hands and knees, it is very important that we keep our spine nice and neutral. So you see how my spine is long, one line from the crown of my head all the way through to my tailbone. I'm not hyperextending the back. I'm not curling too much the other way, right? So not round, but a straight spine. Your shoulders are right on top of your elbows, which are right on top of your wrists. My hips are flat across the top, so like you could put a glass of water and balance it on your sacrum. And my hips are right in line with my knees. My knees are right in line with my hip sockets. From here, we're going to take our right leg. Now, as we do all of these exercises, you must maintain your flat back and all of the alignment principles that we just established. So, we are working our glutes here the whole time, so you want to keep your belly pulled in and your glutes pinched nice and tight. We're going to take our right leg, we're going to bend it up to 90 degrees. So pretend that your foot is stamping on the ceiling, a footprint. We're going to lift 10 times here, not disturbing anything else in the body. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Keep the belly pulled in. Squeeze the glutes on both sides. Good. Stretch your leg to straight. 10 more lifts. 1. You'll notice that my leg is not going very high because I want to keep that glute back there activated and turned on. 7, 8, 9, 10. From here, we're going to bend and flex for 10. And 2. And 3. Belly button's pulled in. 4. You can look straight down at the floor so that your neck does not hyperextend. 4 more. And 3. 2. 1. Good. From here, take a break for a second. Check your alignment. We're going to go on to stretching and bending. So here we go. Stretch and bend. And 2. And 3. And 4. You're hugging the midline of the body, inner thighs pulled together. And 7. And 8. Almost there. 9. And 10. And relax for a second. You should be feeling this in your glute, your hamstring, even a little bit of inner thighs. This is all so good to help your placement. Now, scoot forward a little bit. Good. We are going to lift the leg to hip level. We're going to turn it up from the hip
and you're going to bring the leg to the side without disturbing your pelvis. So you pretend you have a glass of water balancing on your sacrum here. And as your leg goes to the side, you don't change that level. So if your leg can't go as far to the side, that's okay. 4 more. 3, don't move the center. 2, 1 more time. From here, 10 pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax, good. Last exercise on this side. We call them clam shells. So you keep your legs turned in and you're just gonna lift that knee to the side for 10, 9, 8, 7, good, 6, flat across the shoulders, flat across the hips, 3, 2, and 1, good. Take a child's pose position, sit back on your heels. So all of these exercises promote range of motion in different planes of movement, and especially to the back. We call that our hip extension, and that requires glute strength. And that in ballet, when you do tendu back or an arabesque, that is your hip extension. Your glutes have to be strong. So since we have 2 legs, let's do the other side. So we line ourselves up. Shoulder, elbow, wrist in the same line, stacked. Hip to knee, stacked. Knees are placed hip distance apart. Spine is nice and long. Do not change any of this posture, so your belly button's pulled into your spine. We lift our leg up and we pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, feel the glute back there squeezing. Right here, 9, 10, stretch the leg. 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, bend and stretch. 1, and 2, 3, 4, 5, good, keep going. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax for a quick second. Check your alignment. Make sure everything is nice and square. Now let's lift our leg, turn it out from the hip. Keep that glass of water balanced on your sacrum, and we move our leg to the side. 1, and 2. Squeeze your glutes. 3. Both sides, not just the working leg, but the supporting leg as well. And keep that tummy engaged, so pull the belly button to the ceiling. We have 3 more. Good. 2 more. 1, keep it out to the side, 10 pulses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it in. We just have our clam shells left. Here we go. 1, 2. Balance the glass of water on your sacrum. 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 more. Almost done. And 10. Very good. Sit back on those heels. So you should feel your popo burning. So that we want to build up that strength, because that strength helps us with our turnout. So our third and final exercise for increasing your glute strength is called clam shells. So we do this exercise to increase our external rotation, and we are working our 6 deep rotators, which are deep underneath, inside of our hip joint. So let's lie down on our side. This is how we set up for clam shells. We want to stack our hips one on top of the other. We stack our shoulders as best we can. Our knees are bent.
and we're gonna flex our feet here. And then we're going to open the top leg using right underneath your bottom, those same muscles. So we do 10 of these. You can make it harder by adding a TheraBand around your thighs. But we're really squeezing back behind our glute to open that leg. Four more. And 3. And 2. And 1. Good. Let's do the other side. Flip on around. Making sure you line up your body in a straight line. We bend our legs. Hips are stacked. We want to squeeze right behind our popo, the same place. And we open the leg for 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. The hip does not open backwards. Your hip stays stacked. 4 more. See how my hip's not moving. 3. 2. 1. Good. And relax. So those are clam shells. You can do those on your own. Really helpful to find that turnout from deep hip rotators. Here's an exercise to strengthen your inner thighs. So your inner thighs contribute to turnout as well. They come forward and around. So here is a way to strengthen them so that they can function that way. So we lie on our side, and we're going to be in this position with our legs long, turned in. We're going to take our top leg and bend it in front of us. You can just hold on to this top leg. And then we're going to flex our foot, and we're just going to lift the bottom leg up and down. You should start to feel the inner thigh working. Our leg is parallel. My tummy is engaged. My belly button's pulled in. Let's do 10 more. And 9. My foot is flexed. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Good. Other side. Flip on around. Always doing both legs so our body stays even. So I'm going to scoot this way so you can see my foot. So I put my top leg crossing over in the front. My bottom leg is parallel. My foot is flexed. And we lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 more. And 10, 9, 8. Keep your leg parallel. Don't turn out. 5 more. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And relax. So that's a great way to strengthen your inner thighs. So another thing we look for is hamstring mobility. So your hamstrings are the muscles in the back of your upper leg, right? There are 2 sides, the outside and the inside. So a couple of good ways to test your hamstring mobility. The first is to do a forward bend and to see how far you can go without leaning back. So you want to keep your hips right over your feet. If you can go all the way down and touch your nose to your knees, then that is really, really good. And that's what we want. We also want the knees to stay straight, right? So oftentimes if we have tight hamstrings or tight lower back, we won't be able to go all the way down. So forward bend, that's the goal, because we have to be able to have flexible hamstrings to do our point work. So another way to stretch your hamstrings would be to lie down on your back, and you take one leg up to the ceiling at about 90 degrees, and then you flex your top foot, you hold on to that leg, above your calf if you can, or at the knee, or at the thigh. And then you want to pull your leg towards you without letting that hip lift off the ground. So this is a great way to stretch the hamstring. You can also open your leg out to the side to get a little more inner thigh stretch. And then you can cross the leg over a little bit. And then the last hamstring stretch is to externally rotate your leg a little bit from the hip and then pull the leg towards you. So that gets the lateral or outside hamstring. So really good way to stretch right here, keeping the leg straight and pulling it towards you without distorting the geometry of the hips so that both hips stay flat on the floor.
So now let's talk about our deep abdominal control. So as we said before, your abdominals, there are kind of 4 different sections. We have the upper abs, the middle abs, which also includes the transverse that wraps around the back, your lower abdominals, and your pelvic floor. So I'm going to give you a couple exercises you can do to test out your abdominal strength. And since all movement comes from the center in dance, our core really has to be strong and pulled together all the time so that it can hold our body together so that our arms and legs can move fluidly as we dance and we won't be tense because we won't be gripping in the wrong muscles. So let's begin on your back on the mat. So the first thing we're going to do is engage our abdominals by doing a simple lift of the upper body. So we're lying down with our feet flat on the floor, knees are bent, heels in line with your hip sockets. We're going to place the arms behind our head, interlacing your fingers, placing your hands at the base of your skull. And first of all, let's just open our elbows so that they rest on the floor. You're going to pull your belly button into the spine. And then we take a deep breath in. And as we exhale, we lift our head, neck, and shoulders up, but we're pulling our belly in. So this is called an abdominal prep. So you should really feel your center tight. The head is supported by the hands. So you really want to feel the weight of the head in the hands. This should be a lot of work in the core, and we lower it down. So let's do a couple more of those. So pull the belly button into the spine, and exhale, lift and hold. Your gaze is at your thighs. You're supporting the neck in the hands. The belly button is scooping into the spine. Your shoulders are staying back. Your elbows are staying open. And relax down. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Lift. Your shoulder blades are off the floor. Pure abdominal work. You have an imaginary egg between your chin and your chest. And relax down. So this is a good way to find your abdominal muscles. The second way is to do a plank. So we go on our forearms. So in our plank, like we did before with these exercises, we have to maintain our straight spine. So I'm going to go down to my forearms. Make sure you line up your shoulder with your elbow. We're going to stretch one leg out at a time, and we're going to hold our plank. So go ahead and try this with me. Notice how my spine is long. I'm squeezing my glutes. My belly button is lifted straight up to the ceiling, pulled in and up. My ribs are together. I'm looking straight down at the floor so that my neck stays nice and long. And my shoulder blades are flat and wide. So this is a plank. This is a very good way to see how strong you are. Everything in line, supported by your abdominals, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your shoulders. And press your knees down and sit back to child's pose. So that's a plank. That's your 2-minute tutorial on how to do a plank. Very, very straightforward. Our last abdominal exercise that I love is called a double leg lower. So this one is very good for your lower abdominals and control. So we're going to lie on our back. We're going to have our legs up in the air at 90 degrees. Now I want you to feel that your tummy is pulling in and that your back is flat on the floor.
with a little bit of a natural curve under your lower spine, not too much. Now from here, you're gonna relax your head, neck, and shoulders. You're gonna keep your abs pulled in tight, use your glutes, and we're gonna lower our legs down only as far as you can go without letting this happen here. We don't wanna hyperextend and arch our lower back. So we keep it, and we come up. You scoop in more as you come up. Depending on how strong you are, determines how low your legs go. But we want to control this leg lowering from your abdominals. It's very difficult. Your lower abdominals are working super hard here. Pull them in, pull your waist in, pull your belly button in. A couple more times. And one more. Good, and relax. Very nice. So there you have 3 wonderful exercises that work upper, middle, and lower abdominals. So another assessment that we use to determine core and hip strength is an exercise called knee folds. So we are going to start in a neutral spine. And neutral spine means that your belly button is pulled in and up, your ribs are knit together, the hip bones across the front are flat, and there's a natural curve under the lower back, but not too much so that your abs pop out. So in our neutral spine, we're going to take one leg and lift it to tabletop position. Your shin is at a 90-degree angle. We want to see if the dancer can do this movement without affecting the core. So the core stays pulled in, the spine stays in neutral, and the other leg does not move. We try on both legs. This is very important here to assess the core control. Next, we have our knee openings. So the same idea as in the previous exercise. We want the dancer to be able to maintain their neutral spine muscularly and anatomically as you open one knee to the side. We don't want to disturb any other part of the body. So this is using glute strength, core strength, inner thigh strength as we open that leg. So as you can see, the rest of my body stays very still because I'm supporting the movement from my abdominals and my glutes. Our third and final part of our hip and core engagement is to talk about the side support. So we have muscles on the sides of our torso called our obliques that help us to stand up straight and to bend side to side. So there are 2 ways we can kind of strengthen and test our obliques. So the first way is a side plank. So you're going to get on your side, stacking one hip on top of the other, and then you can put both feet on top of each other, turned in, parallel, and then we go up into our side plank. So you want to lift up here on the bottom side that's closest to the floor and pull your belly button in. We don't want to break at the hips, and we keep our chest nice and open. So this is our side plank. Good, and let's try the other side. So I'm working our oblique muscles here. As you notice, my shoulder and elbow are in line, and I press up into that plank. I keep everything long and keep my belly button pulled in, the ribs are knit together, everything nice and strong, and we relax. The last oblique exercise is we go to a nice position with our legs open, and we're just gonna bend side to side and see if you can really control it from your obliques without arching backwards. You want to keep your stomach engaged, up and in as you bend side to side. You should feel a nice stretch here, hopefully as you go. And then we can see how much flexibility we have as well. Generally, when you strengthen a muscle, it becomes more flexible and has more range of motion because it is stronger.